we are back. And I really want to get into Naima, the humanitarian, because that's probably for me the most amazing part of your life that I was like, I didn't even know, until we started sharing our own work on Facebook, our travels. So I know that my sister Jill was visiting you out in Dubai and China, and wherever you were, she found you. But it was great to hear about your work. So you just started talking about the humanitarian work. So I want to open the floor to you just to talk about how you built that.
Okay. Necessary arts is where the work started, but the humanitarianism in me that seed was planted by my mom. And it's interesting that we talk about being able to model for our children, and that our young people are looking at us to understand where to go or how to go. And my mom, her action and her taking action in society in her way is what I saw as a teenager coming up, particularly as a teenager. My mom had 6 children. The first 5 of us spent a lot of our time at home, also witnessing my mother cooking, let's say, 300 rotis and packing them up, and then all of us going down to Independence Square and physically handing them out. This is the sort of action that my mother played in society or contributed to society, and she took us with her. And many times she did not take us. I am 100% certain my mother did many, many deeds of humanitarian work in Trinidad and Tobago. And this sort of attention to society is what allowed me to see a young lady in my primary school yard. So I think that the humanitarian in me, as it is in all of us, I think it was activated by the actions of my mother, me witnessing her life.
Right.
And at a very young age, and this is what led into my TEDx. At a very young age, when I was about 10, I saw a young girl like me. She's my age in my class, but nothing like me in terms of the way she showed up to school. And this was clear to me. I didn't understand that there was a measure of homelessness involved in it, but something was clear to me, that we can't just keep coming to school every day and nobody doing anything or saying anything, all the kids just teasing the girl and all this other nonsense. Yeah. So I remember speaking to my mom about this, and my mom coming in school and speaking to the principal and dealing with this situation. That is where my awareness of the other person, that's my first conscious awareness of when it started. How it played out for the rest of my life, that attention came to me when I was working in New York City. I think I always treated people with a measure of compassion in my heart, unknowingly. I think I've always led my life with love, unknowingly. But when I got to New York City, working in Harlem, New York, and encountering the children there as a 20-something-year-old, being commissioned to write a play about urban youth, and therefore needing to get into the heads of the urban youth around me and what they were dealing with. When I wrote the play Real, Respect Every Aspect of Life, that play was my true understanding of the African American dilemma and the impact that it has on our youth. And through that experience, my heart simply got pulled in the direction of people's lives of that time. And when a young man, I remember a youth was shot execution style on Madison Avenue in mid-90s, and I became fully aware of that in a way that you can never move away from that reality. when it happens. And I started to ask myself, well, Naima, what do you want to do more than just getting a paycheck every month? There are 24 hours in a day. You're working for maybe 8 hours. You're in school and you're working, but you finish school and now you're working. What are you doing besides showing up to the place that gives you income? And then what are you doing with that income? So I decided to this is when Necessary Arts was born.
Okay.
This is where Necessary Arts, the concept and the idea of necessary, because it was necessary in Harlem, New York at that time for me to do something. And that only thing that I can do was my talent, which was my art, which was the performing arts, which was theater or dance, as the case may have been. And Necessary Arts started off as a dance program. It started off with real respect every aspect of life, that play, but quickly shifted into the interests of the youth at the time was hip hop dance. And so they taught themselves the dances. I truly couldn't figure it out. I had my thing. I could hold my own space, but I wasn't about to be teaching children hip hop dance. And so the notion of humanitarianism came into my consciousness in Harlem, New York. And I started Necessary Arts there, but I did not legally register it until I got to Trinidad.
And was it just you at the time? You were the only one really holding it up?
In New York City, it was myself really doing it, but I did have two other persons, Vanessa and Maria. Maria was a parent of Tatiana Butler, who is still in my life today and actually just took part in my latest project connected to Dubai. Tatiana was one of my first students with Necessary Arts, and her mom was supporting her career in the arts, and so was very intricate in terms of organizing things and helping me organize things.
Oh, that's great.
In New York. And then there was Vanessa Taylor, shout out to both of them. So when I returned home, my mom said, what are you coming home to do? I said, look, I have this program that I want to, I started to think of what is happening in Trinidad and how can Necessary Arts be a thing to support this. If I'm looking at the kids in Harlem and I'm seeing what their dilemma is, what is the dilemma for the children in Trinidad and Tobago? So that's how Necessary Arts came into Trinidad and Tobago. And it's got registered legally in 2002. And one of the mandates of the program at the time, and it still holds true, I believe Penelope Spencer is still implementing it. There's a measure of concern for the at-risk youth because I've come from New York City experience. And so my concern has always been about what happens to the latchkey kids. And we try to open the doors to kids from homes, for example. So we try to get at least 10% of our population within Necessary Arts. We try to put at least 10% of students who are from homes, such as Rainbow Rescue, Credo Home for Boys, different homes that we are affiliated with. So this is the foundation of Necessary Arts in Trinidad and Tobago. And
how what was the curricula like? So did it expand?
Yeah, we had a full on curriculum. Lydia Ledgerwood at the time. Was Lydia Ledgerwood, shout out to her, the music teacher, and the manager of the school. And she was in charge of curriculum. So she developed and designed it was like an 86-page document outlining the 7 classes that we were offering as an after-school program. This went into the hands of the Ministry of Education. At the time, it was Manning and his wife. It got into there. There was a whole PAN program outlined in there because Lydia is a PAN scholar from UNI.
That's right.
And unfortunately, as Trinidad is wont to be, for some reason, that document got lost. But the current PAN program that entered into the schools later resembles too closely Lydia's program that was there for Necessary Arts. And I'm not naming names and I'm not saying anything. I'm just calling what took place.
Right.
And so this sort of non-progressive way of operating happened way too often for someone like
Shenanigans.
myself.
Yeah,
For someone
shenanigans, man.
fanatic, I just want to get the work done. I don't have time for
Mhm.
all this dishonesty and all this baseline behavior. It is not
Yes.
it's not what I have space for. So
Right.
enough of that sort of thing happened over the 7 years that I was in Trinidad with Necessary Arts. And when my mom passed and I had the opportunity to really look at my life and see what it is I want to do, there was no other choice but to move out to the world.
Right.
Now I had all the tools I needed to be the international teacher, and I took the opportunity and started in Qatar. And when I got to Qatar, there is an organization called Reach Out to Asia, Rota. It's led by the daughter of the Sheikh of Qatar. And her ambition was to ensure that every primary school child in Asia would receive a free education.
Fabulous.
Because that is not the case.
Mm.
And so I got affiliated with this organization, brought some students in to do a performance through the umbrella of Necessary Arts. Even though we were not registered, I still wanted to continue the work. And as we were getting ourselves in this really sweet collaboration where university students would have gone over to Asia to work with young teachers, young persons there to teach or train people, I ended up needing spine surgery and I had to leave Qatar and go to Thailand. And that took me to Thailand, and I went through a year of recovery from that. And I got in humanitarian work there through the My Mom program. Somali mom is a survivor of sex trafficking. She's from Cambodia, and she has written her book and has her own agency and blah, blah, blah. So I got involved in some of that while I was recovering from this thing in Thailand. And then I moved on to China. Julian came and she was with me in China. What I was doing in China with Necessary Arts was interviewing the older generation of China to understand the younger generation. So I was exploring the survivors of the Cultural Revolution that took place in China. And the people who were supporting me in China, in where I was, they would take me to people to interview them, and it was mind blowing. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had to sit down opposite somebody who was a comrade of Chairman Mao, for example, and listen to him tell me his story, and his wife come and sit with him, and they tell me the truth of their experience. And I was recording all of this, and I've lost all those recordings today, interestingly enough, but that's another story. And then as I was doing that project, trying to understand and bring that into theater, bring what my understanding into the work with the children. That job, as great as it was going in terms of the program and the direction that I was going in with the EAL teachers, Suzanne Potler and Tan, I can't think of Tan's last name. That job came to a halt under the pretext of me being Black and me being a lesbian, that I was told we cannot hire you next year for these two reasons.
So they didn't know that before?
Hello, but that wasn't the reason, I believe. And then I met a very prestigious author in Dubai at the Lit Fest. I don't want to name her name, but I met a very prestigious author in Dubai at the Lit Fest, and she's written many books, and they have all been banned from being read in China.
Could have been the interviews you were having?
I spoke to this author now I'm in Dubai. So the interviews happened 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
In China. Now in 2016, I'm going to a Lit Fest, and there's an incredible author presenting at this Lit Fest. So I got a moment of time with her, and I shared with her my experience in China. And I asked her, I said, this is why, this is what they've told me why I could not return the following
Right.
year. Based on what I've shared with you, what do you think? And she expressed that she thought that I had been, it had come to the awareness that I was interviewing survivors of the Cultural Revolution. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is what I really think got me out of China, even though what
Yeah.
was said to me was this other thing.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
necessary arts is it's we are very I'm necessary arts is driven by my mindset. I just want to start there in terms of the international aspect of it. What Penny is doing with it in Trinidad and Tobago remains the training ground for actors, and that's what it does at home. She focuses on the talent. Necessary arts out in the world focuses on different things, and this was one of those things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that we did, and in terms of understanding myself as a humanitarian, and really interested in people and the connectivity of people, that mindset continued when I got to Dubai. From when I got into Dubai as an international teacher at a school there, I recognized the location, and the opportunity now to really spread out into Africa. And
Mm.
that's where the second level of connectivity took place, because now I started to think of, I'm in the middle. Trinidad is to the west, Africa is to the east. How can necessary arts find a way to connect us? And so that work started. And so the humanitarian work started now in Kenya. And that can take another 2 hours of conversation. So in
Mm-hmm.
a nutshell, Necessary Arts Kenya started in 2014, and it is still run today. And what I'm really the
So great.
most proud about is that we are now, teachers are now doing professional development with our students who are now grown. 6 years ago, for example, I met Eleanor. Eleanor was 14. Eleanor is now 20 what? 20. And Eleanor is now teaching drama to the students in the orphanage that we are affiliated with.
That's
So the
fabulous.
sustainability of the program has really made me proud. And we did not have funding to do it, just do the work. And this is how I feel about the humanitarianism.
You're
Uh,
right. So then how did you get it affiliated then with what was the school? Sud Academy? Was
Sud
that
Academy,
where's
yes,
Sud Academy?
Sud Academy is in Kenya, and it became, actually, I was diagnosed with cancer in 2015. By the
Was.
time Sud Academy came around, we were able, myself and Suzanne Potler agreed that when I was diagnosed, that she and a team of about 8 other teachers would go into Kenya and get the work done. It was on that journey that they went into Sud Academy. Sud
Mm.
Academy was a result of me sitting down in Donna Dove's apartment in New York City on my way to Trinidad and speaking with someone named Ger Dwani. He's from Sudan. He's one of the lost boys of Sudan. And
Mm.
he is now the ambassador for the UNHCR for refugees out of Sudan. So he then led Necessary Arts to Sud Academy through UNHCR. I was diagnosed with cancer 2015 with a trip. I was diagnosed in July, and this trip to go into Sud Academy had been set up and scheduled to happen in August. So I did not want to cancel it. And so praise up and love up and bless up to Suzanne Potler for taking the team through, and Alison
Mm.
Holder for taking the team into Kenya, Melinda Everstein taking the team into Kenya and going into Sud Academy. Sud Academy is an interesting place. And I want, out of all the projects in Kenya, most of all, what I would like is for some philanthropist to contact Necessary Arts or contact Sud Academy directly. Sud Academy, Google, you will get to it, in Nairobi, just outside of Nairobi. And they take uh, they take persons who have made it across the border from Sudan into Kenya, they bring them into this education center. If you were displaced due to conflict when you were in grade 3, it didn't matter how old you are. When you come back, when you get to Suit Academy and you come into education again, they will start you at the grade level that you left. So in a classroom, there are 20-year-olds who are in 2nd grade, for example. It's a very interesting place. And Suit Academy, Mr. Deng, bless him for all these years doing it. We started in Suit Academy in 2015. And it is not there are pictures on the website for necessaryarts.org. There are pictures there of Suit Academy, but you could Google it also. It's galvanized. It's a school built with galvanized. And it's dirt. It's red dirt floor ground. There are no toilets. They're outdoor. There's outdoor latrines.
Right.
There's no running water. There's a room with computer lab painted on it, but there's no computers. There's no sustainable electricity. But they are there educating these people.
Right.
There are children who have escaped Sudan from early childhood marriage or FGM. They've escaped and made it to Kenya, and they're in this school. So Suit Academy is a project that I cannot. Necessary Arts goes in there to do theater and drama and the arts. And Penelope Spencer has been to Suit Academy, and she's run a whole program there with Kelly Flynn from Ireland. So they ran a program throughout our sites, and Suit Academy is the one site that they speak of that impacted them so much. So if we can find a philanthropist, or if a philanthropist were listening to this and they were thinking of their next project to fund, if you can just take Suit Academy under your wing and give them the tools that they need to do their job. Their teachers are being paid, I think, that's something like $100 US a month. Or some ridiculous amount like this, or a year. I could have it wrong. I don't remember anymore. But anyway, Mr. Deng is in touch with me, I swear, once a week. Once a week, this man is messaging me in faith for years, since 2000, because he's doing it. He's doing it just as I'm doing Necessary Arts on my salary. He's doing this thing out of his heart, and people begging people. UNHCR is not the agency that's going to fund it. UNHCR is the agency that makes it possible to be there, to logistically to be there, I think. Yeah. But when you bring up, when we talk about Kenya and what is in my heartbeat, what is happening with the orphanage and Furaha out in Kilifi, in those communities, working with Jenny here in Vietnam as an international teacher. She's coaching them on musical theater, and they are able to bring that program to the children that we work with for us. Again, on my salary and people's salary, other teachers' salary, we pitch in and we pay the young ladies over there to do it, etc. Right. That is happening. That is our work, that's our program, and that is working out. What is not working out is something that is not in our portfolio, but I know that it needs attention, and I keep praying and hoping that it will get the attention, and Suit Academy could actually truthfully support these refugees almost who are coming into their care.
Yeah. So we're looking for a philanthropist. We're looking for an organization that can help support Suit Academy. So again, if you know somebody, reach out, seek Suit Academy, hit up Naima at Necessary Arts just for more information.
Yeah, but people might say, but Naima, why don't you apply for grants? Yeah, but I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher. I'm a humanitarian. I do what I could do. I don't know about grants and applying for grants and chasing that. I tried it in Trinidad. It didn't really work. It's not what I do. So Yeah, this is the prayer, and hopefully the universe will hear it and open it up at one point.
All right. Okay. Well, good. So let's transition into your newest project. Let's talk about, the Child's Eye Artists Collective.
Oh, Ryan, I lost your sound.
You hear me?
Yes, you're with me again.
Yes.
We're talking about Child's
Child's
Eye.
Eye. Yes.
Talking about Child's Eye. Wow.
Let's see how she's all smiling, grinning ear to ear. Very proud. Very proud.
We are talking about Child's Eye. Child's Eye is actually definitely a project being led with love, and the universe has spun it into manifestation. I had no clue that I would have a project called Child's Eye right now, and I do. 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I got an email from a gentleman named Roger, who is based in Dubai, and he reached out to Necessary Arts in order to get some support in joining him for Happiness Day. His company wanted to celebrate Happiness Day. So he has a company called Reconnect, and they believe in, since the pandemic, people have sort of gone into this isolation, but even before the pandemic, we were disconnected. The pandemic has highlighted that in its physical isolation of people, and at the same time connected people in ways that we were not connecting before. Mm-hmm. So this idea of Reconnect is something that Roger wants, this notion he wants to push and promote now for mental strength and well-being in people through connection. He's Lebanese, so he was reaching out to non-Lebanese agencies to try to see how we can connect globally. Out of that initiative for Happiness Day Dubai, I reached into my brain and thought, well, Naima, what are you going to produce for this man? Because truly, where are we going with this? And then I started to think, well, let me see if I can get a poet to write something and artists to interpret it.
Nice.
And I did that. And that project led us to Sydney Friday. I contacted Debbie Jacob. I contacted the Rape Crisis Center. That was my first stop, because I wanted to hear a female's voice and understand if there was anyone in that space who is a poet or a spoken word artist. However, they never responded to my calls. So then I contacted Debbie Jacob, because I knew Debbie had been teaching at YTC, volunteering, and had been working there. So Debbie Jacob is a journalist and a co-teacher a colleague from the International School of Port of Spain, when we both taught there back in the day. So I reached out to her, and she connected me with Sydney Friday. I asked Sydney Friday in a day to write a poem that could drive this project. He thought he was going to be presenting me with one of his many poems, and I said, absolutely not, I want something fresh. And within 24 hours, he gave us Child's Eye. That poem, Jean Segarra and her mentee, Andre, I'm not good with remembering new names, so I'm going to get this wrong, so I won't try to name names. What I will say is that Jean Segarra, the artist, Leia LTB, the artist, Tatiana Butler, the dancer, were called in to interpret Sydney's poem. We got Robert Yates from Tobago to follow Sydney with camera and to capture his inner thoughts visually, which Robbie did really well. All of the footage from Robbie was then sent to Dubai to be edited by my ex-student from 7th grade to high school, Jay. He is originally from India, but based in Dubai, studying in the States as a film student, but is not because of the pandemic, so he's in Dubai. So I sent him the footage from Tobago, and At the same time, Tatiana Butler was being professionally filmed on the streets dancing the interpretation. She was being filmed by Andre. He was her professional videographer. All that footage was sent to Dubai. And the artists were asked to time lapse their paintings over the week. All of that was then edited by Jay and then presented for Happiness Day. Roger, who's a DJ, got DJ artists from Lebanon to underlay all of that with music from Lebanon. So A Child's Eye was born out of that project, and it has now spun off, which is the foundation of my work also, this notion of transformation. As you see behind me, there's a spiral, and that has to do with constant transformation. So we're moving into the next stage with Sydney, which Necessary Arts has just been able to put Sydney in a retreat, in a writer's retreat.
It's wonderful.
We've just been able to put Necessary Arts has been able to put. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about that, if I could, very quickly.
Yes.
This project now, with the pilot project being a video interpretation, I mean, we showed all of that. This is now, the retreat has to do with Sydney writing anywhere between 30 and 90 poems to be compiled into a publication. The publication, the ambition for it is that each grouping or category of poetry that he delivers has a group of artists interpreting his work that will then be barcoded and put on the page of the poem, so that the reader can scan it and go into the video project of the work, the interpreted version. So this is the outcome, the desired outcome. And where we are now is in day 3 of a 3-month journey for Sydney to write. So that project cost $3,000 US dollars, and we set up a GoFundMe. And since then, we raised just over $1,000 US dollars. People have been very generous. And so
excellent.
So this is like a little update on the project. With that, we were able to start the first month with Sydney. So the plan is to keep the GoFundMe campaign going with the knowledge that my salary will cover my salary, if not 2 other donors who are on standby, will make it happen. We'll see it through. However, it's a collective project. And with that spirit, Necessary Arts really wants the globe people to get involved in funding this ongoing campaign so that more Sydneys can be put on their path to success. Sydney was at YTC. He survived. He came through his years there. At 21, he came out. He's been through his own journey of self-discovery since then through his writing. Has not had an easy life at all since then. Was literally homeless the past 2 weeks before entering this retreat. That's physically sleeping on the beach, getting his phone stolen, and all this other nonsense. So really, the persons who contributed the first month of this, you took a young man off the street. We were able to get a donor to give him a brand new computer so he can type up all the poems in his notebooks. And really now, he was just actually out of this retreat yesterday. I don't want to name the name of the publication. Yesterday, a magazine invited him to send them poetry.
That's great.
Yeah. At no cost, they say, but for exposure. And this is brilliant. So if that pans out, then, so doors will open for him, and he has a son that he really wants to see thrive. And he can, he's a young one. So this is the project that's on the table right now.
That is awesome. So I think this is fantastic. I'd love to see where those of us who have capabilities, opportunities, how do we reach back and grab and bring someone up? Especially when you're looking at talent, you see somebody with talent, what can you pour into them so that they can, pour out into the world, right? So this is
That's your whole mindset behind my TEDx. What can you do?
Mm-hmm.
You can sit down and talk all day about the problems of the world, but look, ask yourself, what are you doing this month with your salary? Did you go online and look and find reputable NGOs, even grassroots NGOs that are struggling? Did you ever attempt to what do you do with your money every month?
Yeah.
Because it's a real question. Or your money or your time. What are you doing? Because after you do what you are doing for yourself and your immediate community, there's the rest of the world still exists.
Correct. And there's so many opportunities. And even if someone said, all I have is $10, $20, $50, $100, whatever it is, $1,000.
More than somebody else.
That is correct. And that little bit can do so much where you're sending it.
Period.
Yes. That is so wonderful. Period. All right. I think first, so let's talk about, we will take a break because we want to come back. But at the end, we want to I just want to give you an opportunity one more time just to push the donation for Sydney.
Okay. Yeah, will do.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we'll come back, take a break, pause
take a break again.
And yes, come back and then we'll come back to that last segment. All right.
Cool. Thank you.